So if you're going to create this look on another part of the body apart from your fingers, I just wanted to show you another little trick that you can do to kind of add to the illusion. So if I'm going to create the slice through my hand here, is work out roughly where you want to create the slice line and add some spirit gum. Then again, what you want to do is grab a bit of nose and scar wax. You definitely don't need a lot at all this time, but what you want to do is put a bit of petroleum jelly on your fingers if it starts to stick, but you want to try and roll it out into kind of thin little worms. And now that this has gone tacky, what you want to do is you want to stick one along the top of the line like that, and then roll out another worm and do the same thing again along the bottom. But what you want to do is you want to make them overlap slightly. And if it's too hard to get in there with your fingers, if you're too scared to kind of damage the wax, you can go back in with sculpting tools. But what you want to do is just sort of flatten the top one out across the top, like so. And then the bottom one, you want to flatten the bottom one out, dragging downwards. If it starts to kind of smear away like that, don't be concerned too much. You can just run the tool back over the top of it again and kind of flatten it back out like that. And I know that this looks super messy at the moment, but we're going to go back in with a tool and kind of clean it all up, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I mean. So just go back in with a bit of petroleum jelly and smooth those out. And like the finger, sliced finger that I showed you before, what you want to do effectively is not cover up too much of the detail in the palm of your hand. Again, so I'm just going to go back in and smooth some of this out and actually reduce some of the wax or take some of the wax away. So that's it there. And now what you want to do is you want to grab the same sculpting tool again, just that needle point tool, and you want to dip it into some petroleum jelly. And then you want to start at one end and drag the tool all the way through. But what you want to do is you want to sort of take any excess off the top of this bottom piece and then any excess off the bottom of the top piece, if that makes sense. What I'll do is I'll drag the tool through here now just so you can kind of see me doing it. But what you want to do is drag through like this. And if there's any excess here, so I've got some excess sticking out above this bottom piece, I want to go back in with the tool and I want to remove that, but not too much. You still want those two pieces to kind of slightly overlap. And if you want to, you don't necessarily have to do it this way as well. You could just, you know, create one half. You don't have to have sort of a bottom half and a top half. You could just have the bottom half as it is. But what it effectively does is it sort of creates another edge that sticks out to kind of help with the illusion that you've been sliced through and that one half is kind of starting to slide away from the other. So I've finished with that now. What I normally do is I go back in again just with a bit of cut up sponge and just remove any of that excess petroleum jelly. This also helps to stick down some of those like really fine edges on the nose and scar wax too, and just add a bit of texture back into the scar wax so we can go ahead and start painting it. As you'll notice here on the bottom part, I've gone over some of the creases in my hand. So what you can do if you want to is very lightly with a toothpick or something like that is go back in and kind of, you know, recreate some of those fold lines back in the nose and scar wax again. You can also get a dry brush and do that. Brushes, you know, don't affect the wax as much, as in they don't dig into the wax as much. I'm going to go back in and start with pink washes and try and match that scar wax back to my actual skin color. So I'm relatively happy with that. Like I said, I could stay here all day finessing the color, but this is just to give you an example. And what you want to do next is you want to go back in and you want to paint the red on the inside edges as you did on the sort of tip of the finger before. So I go back in with this red tone here. And what you want to do is you just want to sort of put a little bit of color back into the top part of this bottom section. Like that. And then on the opposite side, you want to paint the bottom edge. What I normally do, like I did with my finger before, is I go back in, I load up the brush with a bit of black, and I use that black line as the sort of cut line across my entire hand. So that's effectively a slice going through the middle of my palm now. So as you can see, there's like a little bit of pink sticking out of that top edge there. And if you flip it around the other way, you can see some pink sticking out there. You can obviously exaggerate this a little bit more again. If you don't think that, you know, two halves work, you can go back in and just, you know, remove the top part. So you can scrape that nose and scar wax back off. Like that, and then just go back in and, you know, neaten the bottom half up again. And if I did something like this, I would just go back in with the black again and then you know, repaint or extend that black line back out to the wound like that. So this is just another way that you can add to the slice effect by creating these little ridges that stick up along the cut line. These help with the illusion and make it look like one half of the hand is kind of coming away from the other. And like I said, again, you don't want to go too crazy with the wax. And in fact, you could probably get away with not even adding blood to this if you didn't want to. You could just leave it as red paint or red skin illustrator line like I have here. And that's it.